Well, let's get this conversation on the go. So, Rex, thank you very much for taking the time to speak with me again. It's so great to see you. I hope all is well in Michigan.
Uh, it is, Dave. It's wonderful, and it's great to be talking with you too. Thank you.
Would you mind just giving us a bit of a background on why you went out and made yourself vulnerable by creating this piece of content?
Sure. Because frankly, I thought it would help people. Um, and I learned so much in the process that, again, I thought would be helpful. People gave me advice right after I was laid off. I mean, part of the separation process was that the company that I worked for, very good company, said, we'd be happy to review your resume and give you some pointers. And two very experienced people in career services looked at my resume and gave me some pointers. And they were things like take off the year you graduated from college, get a different email address because the AOL.com email address just shows that you're completely out of touch. You need a Gmail account. And also get rid of every job experience prior to the year 2000. And instead of, back then, which would have been in July of last year, instead of, being really grateful and following through on that, on those pieces of advice, I just got angry, and I felt kind of hurt and entitled. And I thought that, an email address shouldn't matter, and that my previous experience was really important, and that people should value that I've been in the workplace as long as I have been. And that reaction was completely wrong, but I think that reaction is pretty common, especially.
So what I really like about the the post you made and how we've been in touch since is you're very proactive about it. You didn't sit back and say, well, like, this is the world we live in now. COVID's out. Everybody's been made redundant. This is the world we live in. I'm going to just sit here, feel sorry for myself. You actually did something about it, and you got out there, and you actually did all the right steps as to what people should do. You're proactive, and you engaged and networked online with people who know, who are experts about career development. So with that record number of people looking for work, i.e. applications, there's naturally a record number of rejections, which is actually all over LinkedIn right now, the great resignation. Have you heard about that at all, Rex?
Oh, I have. And, when you do a quick mental tally of those numbers, yeah, it's staggering. And what that means to me is that right now it is perhaps the most competitive job market that we've ever seen. When you have over 100 million people now looking for work, and because of work from home and remote work is becoming more popular. I won't say it's going to become the standard or anything, but it is becoming more popular. So that puts workers in competition, not just with people from their own city or even their own region, but it puts them in a globally competitive situation. And it makes it even more important to personally brand yourself so that you can get noticed and then get hired. And that was another thing that I realized back in July of last year, is that an old guy like me needs to have something extra to be able to stand out, because a resume isn't going to cut it. And resumes are lousy networking tools. And we all know, there's not a career expert out there that will say networking is a bad idea. Of course, networking is the best thing you can do. So you need a tool that will help you network, because most people don't like to network. Don't blame them. I don't like it much either. But you need to be able to network so that you can get noticed, because getting noticed is that first step to getting hired.
What we've seen as well, because there's a record number of applications being made, there's only so much information a person can process at any given time. So if instead of getting 10 applications, they might be getting 1,000 applications. And you're going to think, wow, how can one person go through 1,000 applications and give each application the time that it deserves. And so naturally what we're seeing at the moment is a massive increase in the use of AI technology in the recruiting practices. I mean, you've got automatic tracking systems. They've been around for some time now, but there's a lot of questions over what information's being used to use as a filtering process. So that means that a lot of people who have the right skills aren't actually even having their snapshot. Would you mind taking me through why you created it and what inspired you to do so?
Sure. Well, all of this, the discussion about branding is really appropriate. And while personal branding is it's a relatively new topic for people to be talking about. Really it just started developing in the last 5 or 10 years. Branding, of course, in the retail and the corporate world has been going on since people have been selling things. So branding for goods and services is very well understood. And that's the world that I came from. I've been in advertising and marketing and communications for 40 years. And the idea for the snapshot actually came from the work that I would do at different advertising agencies to pitch the agency to new clients. And so we would use metrics to highlight the strengths of the agency to these new clients. And those metrics were, fine-tuned to just zero in on what that client was looking for, so that if they needed strengths in public relations, we would tell them how many campaigns we did and what success we had there. Same with advertising, same with event marketing. You get the idea. So the epiphany for me was being able to take this, tried and true tool that's used in advertising for companies and apply it to personal branding, and then create a company that could commercialize it affordably. So that's what we did. I created my own career snapshot with an art director friend of mine that was terrific. It was what really catalyzed the idea of starting My Career Snapshot way back in probably June and July of last year. But the original design I came up with was simply too expensive. It was too detailed. And so I needed to find a way to simplify it, and also to have a production process that was fast enough for customers so somebody can, place an order and have their snapshot finished in 3 or 4 days. Our turnaround time is actually very fast. And the benefit of the snapshot is that it makes people think about their personal branding metrics. What is it about your career that makes you stand out, that will, in the course of 4, 5, even 6 seconds, jump out at a hiring manager or a recruiter or another career professional and make them slow down. Because, as they're going through the resumes, as they're, looking at their applicant tracking systems, as they're reading emails, a career snapshot will stop a person in their tracks. It is human nature to stop and look at something like this that's a one-pager that has very little text, that uses numbers. And numbers are a universal communicator. People get numbers. They're a very fast read. And then the captions that we have to explain those numbers, if you explain what a number is in just 4 or 5 words, it could be sales that you've generated. It could be the size of the largest team that you've managed. It could be the size of your real estate portfolio in terms of square feet that you manage for clients. Whatever it is, those things are important. They can be communicated quickly. And when you select the right ones, they tell the story of your personal brand. And that's where the strength of the snapshot is, because unlike a resume that truly demands someone's attention, because you've got to read so much, it demands engagement. It doesn't tell you the whole story quickly. A snapshot does tell you someone's personal brand story very quickly. And that's where we've got our strength that is going to be so important for job seekers right now because of the hyper competitiveness in the job market. Standing out now matters more than it ever has.
Absolutely, I completely agree, and that's why I think the Career Snapshot is going to be an absolute game changer for job seekers all around the world. I really do. You're absolutely right in that recruiters and talent teams have got their work cut out, and they've got very little time to go through so many applications looking for keywords. If you put that snapshot straight in front of them, that will just stop them. And that's what you need, because once you stop them, it slows them down, as you said, and then they begin to actually build that curiosity, go, what's this person all about? And then I'll gradually start going down, and then they're actually going to be looking in that resume to find out where all that those key highlights come from in that snapshot, because that's what you're telling them to do. They're saying, look at what I did here and look what I did there. That's what you need to be looking at, and that's why you should at least interview me.
And that really is the key. You hit on something that's very important. Some people have miscategorized the Career Snapshot as a resume replacement, and I categorically disagree with that. It's not. It is a supplement to the traditional resume and a supplement to the traditional cover letter. And it is complementary to those things, and it augments them. It really serves a different purpose. And that purpose is slowing somebody way down and earning you the attention that you deserve, so that then that audience, that recruiter or that HR person will then look to your resume. And like you said, they'll dive deeper into the story of what you can offer them.
Absolutely. This is obviously bashing resumes or anything like that. It has a place as part of your job search strategy, and one that you should take very seriously. What I'll quickly share with you actually is I've had a few clients this year, and the Career Snapshot has solved a massive problem for me and my clients, because every client that comes to me said, Dave, I really need help with my resume. Will you help me? And we'll go through the journey of them developing a really strong resume that's going to be ATS friendly, that's going to have the correct formatting and so forth. And they think, well, that's great for when you're applying online to these on these company websites. But what do I do for networking? Do I send the same one? Maybe we should look at a one-pager that's just going to be a bit more powerful, that's going to have some key metrics on it, that's going to be a bit more punchy, just to really draw the attention of key people. And this is where Career Snapshot comes in. It's really solved a massive problem here, because you can have your resume that's going to have all the information you need to get through the ATS systems to demonstrate your value. But when you're networking, the one thing that you should be using is the Career Snapshot, because I can guarantee you if you send that to someone, they're going to read it, and with those metrics that you choose, they're going to want to know more about you.
It is true. It is such a great networking tool, simply because when somebody opens an email or an internal message on LinkedIn, in LinkedIn, and they see that, it's inviting, it's engaging. It's not something that someone would look at and go, you know what, too long. I don't have time to look at that right now. This is easy to look at. The snapshot is easy. And, the audience can see from looking at the snapshot that you've got up on your screen, there are these little icons that we have that illustrate a number of the metrics and captions. And our team of award-winning designers, we custom make those for each snapshot. And we do the best we can to visually communicate what that metric is about in an instant, so that somebody can pick up what your story is almost, without even consciously reading through it. They just glance at it, they get an idea. But it's engaging. And that's really what you need for networking, because, of course, with networking, again, what you're trying to do is slow somebody down to pay attention to, making a connection with you or an ask that you might have of them. So that's what you're trying to do. And the snapshot is great for that. In comparison to a resume, You know what? It's the wrong tool for that job. It's like trying to use a Phillips screwdriver when you need a crescent wrench. It's a good tool, but it's just the wrong tool for
and
that
that's
job.
what I like about it. It's so versatile. I've put it here because if I speak to anybody at all, they can see right there what I'm all about, and so forth. So I don't really need to pitch because it's all there for them. Could you imagine doing a virtual interview where you've got all your metrics right there for the hiring manager to look at? So, well, actually, look, there's some interesting things on there. Or if you
You know what? Let me interrupt you for a second.
that's right.
So we did this past summer. We did a survey of all of our customers, and I had two different customers get back with us, and in their responses to our survey questions, two people said that when they were doing virtual interviews, the hiring manager shared their screen to show them something from the company, some company documentations, or it might have been an org chart or something. Both candidates saw their career snapshot on the hiring manager's screen.
Wow, that's something. That's something.
And we had a number of people comment about how when using the snapshot in an interview situation, it enabled them to help steer the conversation, because you know how sometimes interviews can be they can be kind of intimidating. You're not sure what to talk about. There are those awkward kind of dead pauses, while the hiring manager is going on to the next thing. Or one of the great things about the career snapshot is for both the hiring manager and the interviewee to have it right at hand, because then the interviewee can steer the conversation. They can, if there's a question, they can say, "Oh, well, I'm glad you asked that. You'll note on the snapshot that I did this or that in reference to that point, and your answer is right there." Or if there's a pause, you could say, "Hey, I'd like to now tell you about this other thing that I did, the metric that you'll see there," and it enables you to keep the conversation moving, and it gives the interviewee a modicum of control in that situation when so many people feel like they don't have any control at all.
Yeah, it's kind of like taking a cheat sheet to your interview because you've got
Yes.
the answers on there for you. Could you imagine when you're getting asked a difficult question? So tell me about a situation where you've done X, Y, and Z. And you can think, well, when did I do X, Y, and Z? And you can actually see, well, actually, I've done it there. And you say, well, I've done X, Y, and Z, and as you can see on here, that this is what happened, this is what actually resulted from what I did. And I think that can be really, really powerful. And often we talk about the importance of sending a thank you note to your interviewer once it's done. The best thing about taking your snapshot with you is you leave it for them to take away. And I can guarantee you, if you've got 10 people who have interviewed and only one person leaves their snapshot, that one person's got a great chance of having a follow-up. Definitely.
It absolutely does. And we thought about that as we created what the snapshot product would be. And I don't want to get, too far off into the weeds. But every career snapshot is what is technically called a vector-based PDF. And that means that it doesn't matter what size it's printed or viewed, because it's vector-based. It'll always be very sharp. There's no pixelation at all. That's very important when you're printing things. And so let's say that somebody wants to print one to take to an interview, an in-person interview, and have it as a leave behind. Well, your contact information is there, both email and phone number. That's a standard thing to have on there for us. But I would also recommend that people, go to the office supply store, buy some very nice paper, like a heavy matte photo paper, and print the snapshot on that. Because boy, when you lay that down in front of somebody on a nice piece of paper stock, boy, that's just so unusual these days. And that will truly make you stand out to that person. And I would expect that that snapshot would make the rounds in the personnel department.
Absolutely. Everybody will take a look at this. And the whole way it's been passed around, your contact details are on there. For those who would like a bit more information about it, or to get their very own career snapshot, where can someone go to get one?
Sure. Well, first they should talk with you about it. Your clients should talk with you. You have the ability to help them understand whether it's right for them, and you'll recommend it when it makes sense. You also have the ability to give them a discount code, which is, though it represents the largest discount anybody can get on a snapshot. So first of all, they ought to go to you. If they want to look at the snapshot online, it's easy to find. You can Google Career Snapshot, and our site will pop up. It is mycareersnapshot.com. There's also and all the information you need is right there. That is an add-on to the snapshot that I also think is just so critical for personal branding. And I know that we were able to do one for you, and I'm so happy with how it came out. But LinkedIn is so important for networking, and it's the primary place that people can do personal branding on a public scale. And it's having that LinkedIn background profile graphic. We can create one of those that matches your snapshot, that includes the key metrics that you want, so that when someone goes to your profile page on LinkedIn, instead of having, a landscape picture behind your photo, or instead of having, a picture of a desk with a computer, or maybe it's kittens or whatever, you've got something there that says something about you and your personal brand and your approach to getting noticed and getting hired. And that's another thing that we can offer, and we do offer through the site.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. I was really excited when I heard about this add-on that you've created. Your LinkedIn background, it is prime real estate. It's one of the most underestimated parts of your LinkedIn profile. It's what everybody sees first, and these days first impressions matter. If you've got someone with similar skills, two sets of people with similar skills, one person's got a background, the other one doesn't, the one who's got the background's more likely to get engaged. If you've got something that's meaningful, you're even more likely for someone to go, actually, I want to know a bit more about this. And so for one thing, it's great to have something on there that's personal to you. It could be an interest, a hobby, a passion. But to have something that really is powerful, like metrics, to say, well, this is me, this is how I can help you right from the start, it's a great addition to your career snapshot, definitely. What I'll quickly say is I added mine on the Wednesday to my LinkedIn profile, and when I looked on the Monday, there had been already a 20% increase in traffic to my LinkedIn profile. I was astonished when I saw that. But to add to it, actually, by the end of that week, it jumped to 73%.
No kidding, I didn't know that. Oh, that's terrific news.
And for someone who does get a lot of visits, it was a significant increase to get that. And what that translated to was I had 10 inquiries, and I've got one new client now from it, which is absolutely brilliant. It's absolutely paying dividends.
Well, I'm so glad. And I'm going to circle way back around to the first thing that we talked about was that story on ageism. And, your LinkedIn profile background is, I think, one of those areas that people can grab onto and think, well, you know what, I've had the picture of, my favorite car or my dog or whatever. I've had that up there forever and it's been fine. And I like that picture. And, that's the type of thinking that is the captain of the Titanic driving toward the iceberg. Yeah, it just doesn't help you. And I encourage people to listen to experts like you, Dave, and understand that everything that's public facing about your career is a reflection of how you approach personal branding. And it either says something that helps your brand or it hurts your brand. And, people need to take ownership of that. It's just the way of the world. It's not worth getting mad at. You can't get mad at the fact that, hiring managers are in their 20s and 30s, you might as well be, Dante tilting at windmills. It doesn't help you. So, if people go read that story, and perhaps you can put a link to it in the show notes or something, but, read that story about ageism and how to approach it positively and to be able to take control of it.
That's absolutely brilliant, Rex. Well, it has been really great chatting to you once again. It's a topic that I'm really passionate about, and I can see that you are as well. We could talk about it all day, but just for the benefit, once again, for those tuning in, where can someone get their career snapshot today?
Sure. Go to mycareersnapshot.com. It's as simple as that.
Sounds great, Rex. Thank you very much. My Career Snapshot, the game changer for every job seeker. Thanks, Rex.
Thank you, Dave. Take care.